I've stayed silent on this topic for too long because I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but you know what? Maybe a little tough love is what you need. Maybe a nice firm spank on the bottom is exactly what you're missing right now, and you know what? I'm here to give you that fiery kick in the keister. I'm sure you've all heard of the Mandela Effect. It's very well known now. The Mandela Effect, for those that aren't aware, is the phenomenon where a large group of people all share the same false memory. The biggest example of this is actually where the name comes from, Nelson Mandela. Well, I mean, Nelson Mandela is real. It's not like the false memory was his existence. Nelson Mandela was very real, but it's named after the time where a large group of people thought that Nelson Mandela died in prison, when in reality he didn't. But there was such a massive number of people who all swore that they remembered hearing or reading that Nelson Mandela died while in prison. But that just didn't happen. So the Mandela Effect refers to this phenomenon where a large number of people all collectively share the same false memory. It's just super fascinating, and over the last 8 or 9 years, it's becoming more and more common and more talked about. Here's an example of one I just saw on Twitter the other day. Cheez-Its, and I'm still saying it wrong. Cheez-Its never existed. They have always been Cheez-It, not plural. I always remember the box being Cheez-Its with the Z at the end. In school, we always referred to them as Cheez-Its, like, oh, what are you snacking on? I'm just having some Cheez-Its. Jonathan just choked on a whole bunch of Cheez-Its and ended up in the hospital sending prayers to his family. We always referred to them as Cheez-Its, so it's deeply ingrained in me that when I talk about them, I use the plural. But they've never been Cheez-Its. It's always been Cheez-It. But this isn't one that I'm super passionate about. This one's entirely possible that I was just a dumb, stupid, milk-drinking, glue-sniffing kid and just got it wrong and never bothered to correct it. But there is one that I am extremely passionate about, and that's the Berenstain Bears. I made a whole video on this 5 or 6 years ago now, I don't even remember, going into this giant rabbit hole of Berenstain Bears. But that never existed, apparently. It's always been Berenstain, which I still, to this day, refuse to believe. There is some tomfoolery in the quantum realm going on right now, because I very, very distinctly remember writing book reports on the Berenstain Bears, and I was corrected when I used stain, because as a kid, the word stain was a word I knew. I'd fucking shit stain my britches, my parents would talk about stains, I knew the word stain. So Berenstain Bears is what made more sense to me at the time as opposed to steen. So on my reports, I remember I wrote stain and was corrected to writing steen. I know it was steen, I still very much believe that, but it's apparently always been stain, another example of the Mandela Effect. But why am I talking about this today? It's not mainly to focus on all the big ones like Berenstain versus Berenstain and all that shit. It's because there's actually some Mandela effects revolving around me on the internet that I just want to clear up. And this might be mind-blowing to some people, but it's time I finally wake you up and break you out of the simulation so that way you can actually begin to live in reality, knowing full well that it's the truth. There are so many people that firmly believe, would swear on a stack of Bibles, that I made a video on the Shamwow. They believed that I made the real Shamwow video, an infomercial dub for the Shamwow. This is a belief that people have held for years now, and I'm telling you, I never did. I promise you, I never did. But I still, daily on Twitch, will see a few messages or even have someone subscribe, resub on Twitch with a message saying, I've been following you ever since you made that video on the Shamwow a decade ago. I've been following you for decades since you uploaded the Shamwow infomercial dub, something like that. And I do appreciate it. I sincerely tip my fedora to you, Quantum Time Traveler. But in this universe, I never made that video on the Shamwow that you swear you saw. In this godforsaken realm of the multiverse, it wasn't me who did that. But this is something that so many people swear by. And it got to a point, between emails and Twitch chat, that I had to check myself. I had to double check here just to make sure that I wasn't the one hitting the crack pipe. But I have reconfirmed yet again, I never made a Shamwow video. I never did a dub for the Shamwow or anything like that. What I think is happening here is people remember 13, 14 years ago, Djibouti Dubs posted a Shamwow dub, and it was really popular. In fact, Djibouti Dubs is what inspired me to do commercial dubs of my own, and the Shamwow is one of his most iconic. So I think what happened is people remember that Shamwow dub, and they remembered that I also used to do commercial dubs during that time. So they just started crossing wires. They started mixing the proton beams together, and they got their memories all fucked up and, all cattywampus. But I also did do a video kind of similar to the Shamwow, which was the Real Mighty Thirsty video, which is an infomercial dub for a product that's similar to the Shamwow. So it's also possible that they're just mixing the name up. But when I point that out on stream occasionally, people will get like combative, not mean or anything, but like, no, I really, really, really remember you saying these things about the Shamwow. And they'll list off like a joke or two that I've never told ever, and that isn't in the Mighty Thirsty video or in Djibouti Dub's video. So I don't know what to tell you. This is just a great example of memories not being the most reliable when it comes to accuracy and the truth. Over time, things just start getting all fuzzy and blurred, and then you end up with false memories, which is what the Mandela Effect is all about, like the unreliability of memories. Unless we're talking about Berenstain versus Berenstain Bears, then we all know the truth is that it was Berenstain. Berenstain is a no-good, dastardly fraud, and I will stand by that till the end of time. Doctor Strange could peek into 1 billion universes and never find one where it's actually Berenstain. There is something wrong, and I truly believe it has always been Steen. But I digress. Anyway, back on topic. There's another big false memory that people have about me and my channel that I'd like to clear up as well. So, there's a large number of people that believe that my channel used to be named Critical, and somewhere along the way I changed it to Penguin Z0. For at least the last 3 years, I've gotten emails, and especially in Twitch chat, many messages asking why I changed the name of my YouTube channel. And I've never understood it because I've been very vocal about never changing my name across like the last decade. I made this channel in 2007. I was 13. It was a name that I just came up with because I liked penguins. And penguins spelled properly was taken. Penguins with a Z was taken. So penguins with a Z and a 0 was available, so I took it. There wasn't a whole lot of thought that went into it. It was just the brain of a toddler. And I liked penguins. I still like penguins. I think they're unbelievably cute. And that's all. And I never changed it. I never touched it. I also do have an explanation here for what could have happened. When I started doing commentary, which wasn't until like 2010, I always said, "What's up everybody, it's Critical." So the more times I repeated that over the course of like 8 years, the more people associated that name with the channel to the point where they probably stopped looking at the channel name and just assumed the channel name was Critical. But in reality, it never was. It has always been Penguins Z0. It's never ever been changed. However, I will say I did recently change the name of my second channel. I took it from Huge Charles to Moist Charlie Clips. This I have an explanation for. I changed it from Huge Charles because most people thought it wasn't an official account, so I had a lot of people spamming to stop uploading Charlie's content, even though it is officially my account. So in order to just make things more clear, I changed it to a name that people will obviously understand more as like an official channel. So yeah, that is now Moist Charlie Clips, and it has been for like a month or two now. Definitely go subscribe if you want to see more content over there. I really do genuinely find everything about the Mandela Effect to be fascinating, just super interesting to think about, because there's no reason why so many people would collectively share the same memory that's wrong. Like, there are just so many people that swear by things that are just not correct. Like, for example, me and Cheez-Its and Berenstain Bears, which are apparently not accurate, but I vividly remember seeing them that way and reading them and writing them that way. And so many others like me have those same memories, but we're all wrong, apparently. So it just seems so weird that a lot of unrelated people from all different parts of the world can share the exact same memory that happens to be false. I don't know, I just find that to be super odd. And when it comes to my channel and the Mandela effects surrounding some of my content, it's super weird because now I'm on the other side of it. So again, to tie it back to Berenstain, as everything always does end up back at that argument, that whole debacle, the people behind the Berenstain Bears franchise, the whole property, they can't understand why anyone would have ever thought it was Steen. since there's never been any confusion around it. It has always been Stain. All of their marketing has been Stain. Everything has always been Stain. So they don't really get why anyone would have gotten it wrong, especially all of the people that have, like me. And now that I'm in this position, I can't understand how anyone ever thought I did a Shamwow video or how anyone ever thought I had changed my YouTube channel name. I don't know how those things started or where those memories came from because, from my perspective, none of that was even close to being true. I never even considered making a Shamwow video, and I never even remotely considered changing my YouTube name. Yet so many people really think I did both, or one or the other, I suppose. And I don't know, I can't wrap my head around where it comes from or how that shit starts, but it's just super interesting to me. And I'm sure the Mandela Effect is something that all of you have experienced to some degree, or at least understand to some level. And I just thought it'd be something interesting to talk about today because it applies to my channel as well. So yeah, hopefully this cleared up some confusion or, blew your mind or something in some way. That's about it. See ya.